Vic on a relief chiropractic located right here inside of Zavelle, inside of the Gatorade Fieldhouse. Now, what I'm going to talk to you today about is the 3 steps when you come into my office for the very first time. You're going to come in, you're going to get on the wobble chair, and that's going to help warm up your lower back. Step 2, you're going to get adjusted on the table. That's going to be the life-changing adjustments. Step 3, you're going to get on the vibration plate, and we're going to vibe it out.
Maddie Anderson, and I'm a goalkeeper on the Mississippi State women's soccer team. I am so excited to be partnering with Bell Smith to bring you these scripture bells. I've always wanted to find ways to combine my faith and sport, and now I can off the field when supporting my favorite Mississippi State athletic teams. There are 5 different cowbells, each correlating with a specific Bible verse that has had an impact on my life, and I'm hoping has had an impact on your life as well. These are available to purchase at Maroon & Co. and on their website. So come and get your very own scripture bells so that you can cheer on your favorite Mississippi State athletic teams as well as cheer on your Father in heaven. Hail.
Back, okay? We have this Friday night. It's the biggest game in the history of women's soccer here at Mississippi State. The West End, that's your area. That's where we need you guys. You guys are my guys. West End, you guys make the difference. We're trying to set the record for attendance. There's nothing more I love than seeing you guys at the West End.
This all God, this ain't no lie. Yeah, I used to be stuck in that mud. Whoa. Yeah, I was down, but now I'm up. I was down, but now I'm up. Yeah, this all God, this ain't no lie. I was stuck.
You heard them, everybody. Welcome to the In Off the Bench podcast. My name is Jim Cross, and tonight we're going to head on down to the pitch in Starkville. I can't wait. We're going to do the Zimmerman files. But before we do that, we got to plug our sponsors. You know, Chinook Cedary, Daniel, 8 flavors, mild to wild, the best in the game, the perfect snack if you're watching Mississippi State soccer. Memphis City Design, check the merch. Grizzlies are on deck, Daniel. You can get that. You can get your Mississippi State. Whoever your team is, we got it. Go check them out while supplies last. And, of course, Old Dominant Distillery. Go on down to 305 South Front Street in Memphis. Check them out. Tell them In Off the Bench sent you. But all that being said, you know, let's get to the biggest interview in podcasting this week with our man, Coach Nick Zimmerman.
How are we doing, guys?
We're good. Nick, is it Nick? Is it Coach? Like
you call me whatever you want, DB. You got your arms are pretty big, so you can call me whatever you like.
Well, I appreciate that. It must be the camera does magic for me. But I just watched the intro for the first time. Jim was telling me he was putting together something really nice, and he did. And I'm fired up. Like you got me fired up. Like I feel like I could throw on a uniform and I could go play soccer. And I've never touched a soccer ball a day in my life as a kid, but I feel like I could do it just from watching you. But man, let's get into it. I gotta know, because you know, reading the notes obviously says you're a Tampa, Florida guy.
Yep.
Is that the case? Born and raised in Florida? Because you don't find that now.
No. So I was born in Rhode Island. You know, so I was born in Johnston or Providence, Rhode Island, grew up in Johnston, moved to Tampa when I was going into the 6th grade. So dad got a job transfer, you know, new opportunity, moved into Tampa, and that's where my parents have lived for the last 28 years. So, you know, I get Jersey Shore quite a bit, you know, from people with the hair, and I own it. I take it. I wear it on the chin, and, you know, I've kind of gone with it.
Hey, you got to embrace it at this point. I mean,
that's all I got, you know, is the hair, you know, one way or another. So
a lot of guys our age don't got hair. Gotta love it.
Take it while you can, because I mean, you're in the profession where your hair could probably go pretty quickly. So if you got it, you might as well keep it and be appreciative that you have it. But I gotta ask, man. You talked about dad transferring from Rhode Island. What's the family life like? Obviously, you got mom, dad in the picture. You got any brothers, sisters?
Yep. So I've got a sister, younger, so she's 33. She's a teacher. She's done a ton of work. In high school. Incredible person. Just had a boy a couple years ago, Dominic. And he's fantastic. I mean, he's got an unbelievable head of hair.
I was gonna say,
I feel bad though because I gel my hair, and so I think they're a little cautious to gel his. So like sometimes they just let it like go. But when he's around my mom makes sure he's clean. And so
Right.
she'll send me pictures of it. But he's got a great head of hair. His birthday's coming up, so I'm looking forward to seeing him at Christmas when I'm able to get back. So,
I mean, when Dom comes to hang out with Uncle Nick, it's gonna be Jersey up.
It's meant to be. I've got him a couple stuff, a couple shirts, and then being with Adidas, so he definitely gets spoiled from myself and my fiance. We get Adidas, an allotment, so I've got more Adidas gear than I know what to do with. So when I come back for Christmas, take him to the outlet. And last year, I think I bought every single pair of little shoes for him that they had in his size. So I just was like, here you guys, like 6 or 7 pairs of shoes and, all the fits that he can get. So it's my job for him.
Now he's speaking my language, Daniel.
Yeah.
He probably won't know that there's other colleges out there other than Mississippi State, just because he gets
he gets some gear. I got to get better at it. I just I'm like, whatever you want, here you go. But it's little kid sizes. I got to get better at. We have to get better at, I guess. I keep trying to, we need like a merchandise stand or something now in and around the stand, the field with all these people coming, replica jerseys, something. So this will help.
We've seen what happens when you inject them with maroon out the start. I can't get it out my son. I've tried to withdraw it. It won't come.
I mean, this kid is thoroughly confused. But the one thing I will say about Jim's kid is no matter what colors he represents on a weekend, he still always goes back to maroon. He's always Mississippi State. And even when you ask him who's your favorite team, he could be wearing purple and gold. Mississippi State.
Old Faithful.
Yeah.
Old Faithful.
He loves it. But obviously you moved to Tampa when you were in the 6th grade.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that you didn't just start playing soccer then. I'm assuming in Rhode Island you started picking it up. Was soccer the only sport you played? And at what age did you start playing?
Yeah, I mean, I was, my parents, my dad in particular was big into getting me into everything. Like at a young age, he would just throw a ball at me. And if it hit me in the face, he was like, figure it out. Kind of like just deal with it. And he played baseball, so he was big into baseball. So I played baseball. I played soccer. I actually did taekwondo. The funny thing is when everyone asks kind of what my story is all my friends played soccer. Like growing up, I did it. I was awful. It was terrible. I mean, like my mom had videos of me and I just ran around. I was like, this is embarrassing. Like she'd be like, hey, let's watch the game. I'm like, this is tough to watch. So I swore that if I was going to do this, like I'd actually want to try and be decent, And so I just went and we had a backyard where we had trees and a fence, and I would just smash a ball at the fence all day, every day. And it would just start to break the fence. Well, the neighbors would come over and be like, will you tell your son to stop breaking? It's like both our fences. So my dad ended up putting a tarp in my backyard where there was 2 trees, and he just wrapped it around, and I would just shoot into that. And then we would get a floodlight. And so it just kind of just escalated from that. And then all I asked for Christmas was, back in the day, they had Eurosport. That was like the big soccer catalog. That was it. And so they would give me Eurosport and they would say, pick 3 or 4 items. And it was all soccer related. And, that's kind of how it all started. And, when I moved to Florida, obviously Rhode Island and Florida are 2 totally different, sizes, states, etc. So, I got thrown right in, and I was, pretty good in Rhode Island when I left. And then I came to Florida, and it was obviously a whole new world. It was great for my growth. It was great for my development, playing against really good players. And, there was a thing.
Do you think it was just the fact that you could play outdoors year round? Because obviously I'm sure in Rhode Island you can play year round. You can probably play indoor. Mm-hmm. But when you go to Florida, it's like there is indoor, but like nothing prevents you from being outside all year round.
Yeah.
Playing.
Yeah. I mean, that was obviously a huge one, right? And you got fields and there's space everywhere. You'd go down the street, there's a park, people are playing.
The talent level is, man, Daniel, when my daughter would go to these ID camps, anytime there was a girl giving her trouble, I swear they were always from Florida. It didn't matter if we were in an ID camp in Memphis, LSU, Tampa, or anywhere else in between. They could ball in Florida.
Yeah. I mean, that was like the biggest thing. It was, you get there at middle school, went to a Catholic school, and you've got 25 kids in your grade. So you got 25 in 6th grade, 25 in 7th grade, 25 in 8th grade. And I'll never forget, we went out to lunch one day, and they had a soccer field. So no one knew who I was, and we start playing, and ball gets to me, and just happen to dribble a couple kids and score. So this other guy's like, all right, you're on my team. Okay. And so he's like, hey, this is the club I play on, etc. Parents got to call my parents. Next thing you know, I tried out, and that's kind of how I got started. But back in the day, Olympic Development Program, ODP, was it. That was like you tried out for that. It started within the region of your state. Then it was a state team. Then it was regional with states. And then it was a national team pool. And so that was the way that you were selected for the U.S. national team. That was it. Nowadays, you've got national training centers, you've got scouts, you've got a million different avenues. So back in the day, that was all it was. So I tried out, and my first year, I ended up making the U15 national team. So Freddie Adu is on that team, Danny Zatella, Giuseppe Rossi, Dax McCarty, Tim Ward. I mean, like all these guys that you see now, being an 87 birth year, it was stacked. And so from that kind of segue on, it was national team, regional team, etc. And that was kind of how it all started.
That's when people started hearing about Freddie Adu. Is I want to say he was like 15.
Oh yeah.
And that was like he was supposed to be the next big thing. And it just tells me the caliber of player you were when you say, well, I was on the U15 team, the US team, the national team. And with these guys, it's like you know what you're doing. And obviously the development and the time and the grit and the grind that you put into that, like it didn't go unnoticed. What, outside of playing with just that caliber of players, what was that experience like being on the U15 national team?
Oh, it was incredible. And the funny thing is I hated to defend. I just wanted the ball in attack. And I made the team as a left back because I would just bomb forward. I'd be like, get it. And I would just dribble. And they'd be like, what the hell is this kid doing? And I would just bomb forward. I was really good on the ball. I could use both feet. Everything I do with my right, my dad always used to make me do double with my left. So I was also, left backs at the time that, we didn't find too many naturally left-footed players. And so they're like, all right, who wants to play left back? And I was like, I'll do it. And that's how I ended up making it. And so it was an unbelievable experience. Back then I love gear now. That's the only thing I care about. I'm like, just pay me in gear. I love gear. I love shoes. I mean, my shoe rack I've got shoes I haven't even opened yet, but they send you a Nike bag and it welcomes you to camp. I mean, my mom still has the letters in a scrapbook of like, you've been selected for this camp and you get a Nike bag and what size shoe are you? What size cleat are you? It was just an unreal experience because I was a kid from Rhode Island where now all of a sudden you're playing against some of these players that are the best in the country. And Freddie at the time was a prodigy and you're looking at him like, man, this kid's legit.
The thing is, with you being a offensive-minded coach and my daughter playing left back, depending on who your coach was, you may be starting up the offense. It was funny when she transitioned from a defensive-minded coach to an offense-minded coach, and all of a sudden they're asking her to actually go past half field. Previous coach, you never going past that line, stay back. Now, next thing you know, initiating the offense. So left back ain't necessarily a bad thing, coach, depending on who your coach is.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, we say it, we're playing out of a 3-back this year and there are playmakers, they're the ones that a lot of times, like if you watched last night, like they're getting on the ball, our left back has the assist on the second goal. We want them to get forward. We want them to express themselves. And I think that's the biggest thing for me learning at a young age is it's soccer. It's the same. You're trying to do the exact same thing. The positions, there's ideas, but the principles will always remain the same regardless of what position you're playing. what shape you're in, what formation, all that. So
It's funny you say that, Coach, because are you familiar with Grace Storty, who played for Memphis?
Oh, that right back was I would have loved to have had her at Mississippi State.
Yeah, so she's a 3-time guest of the show, but she was who trained my daughter, and I even told Daniel this in real time. So she gets moved on the team. She's always been at the left back. She gets moved up to midfield, and so she comes to her in training, and she's like, "How do I play, midfield?" And she goes, "The same way you play left back."
Mm-hmm.
And it's what you just said. Exactly. It's positioning differently, but you're still playing the same game. Sometimes they overcomplicate it, right? And think it's a whole different game, but it's like you said, you're still doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just
like,
understanding
it's like baseball,
roles.
It's like baseball. It's a game that's been around for 100 years, and guess what? Hasn't changed. Hasn't changed much. It might throw a little bit harder, but it's still, you throw the ball, you catch the ball, you hit the ball, you run. Like it's
I'm with you. Yeah, just score more than them. Kick it in that net. Don't kick it in yours, and let's see what happens.
Undoubtedly score more goals, that's for sure. But let's get into it. You ultimately choose James Madison to, pursue playing soccer, get your education. What about James Madison made it to school for you?
Yeah, I say this to a lot of kids on recruits. The process is your own, and everyone's journey is going to be different. And when you start comparing so and so here, that's when it gets challenging. So for me, there was a lot of options I had, a lot of big schools at the time, and when I went on a visit to JMU, it just like you guys know, when something feels right, you just right, you feel it in your gut. You're like, all right, I trust my instincts. This feels right. And I think I ended up committing on a napkin with the older guys out night. Like one night, I'm like, I'm here. I was like, I signed my name, and I'm like, good. And it was the staff that was important, because that's who you're going to ultimately learn from and grow. And I had a really good relationship with Doc Martin, rest his peace. He passed away a couple of years ago, but Coach McSorley, who was the assistant at the time, he was a smaller player. And, the program had done well. It was one of the top 10 winningest programs, in the 90s and 2000s. So it gave me everything I wanted. It was away from home, something different. And I just felt like I had the right support and the right resources I needed to kind of take that next step.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to ask you, if it met expectations, and you obviously answered that. 2-time all CAA selection, and success within the program. So it definitely seems like you picked the right destination. So ultimately you get drafted by the New York Red Bulls in the 2009 MLS Super Draft, and later selected by the Philadelphia Union in the 2009 ML Expansion Draft. Talk to us, man. Like you be the first guy that we've had girls that have came on, they've gotten drafted after, but we've never talked to somebody who has been drafted. So talk to us about that experience.
So, at this time, a lot of people have agents, right? Well, I was the second player from James Madison to go, first one to get invited to the MLS Combine, which basically is like football, but you play, and you're doing all this in front of the MLS teams. And I had a decent combine. I wasn't great, I wasn't bad, I was just kind of right. And so I met with a couple teams while I was there, had a couple interviews, and I didn't have an agent. I didn't really know what was going on, and the draft comes. I knew I wasn't going to select it in the first round, so I was just with friends. I was just hanging out. I wasn't even really watching the draft. I'm like, who went first? Oh, that's cool. All right, yeah, that's cool. I wonder where my buddy's going to go. Oh, yeah, he went there. Great. And 25, 30 minutes later, my phone rings from an unknown number. I don't know it. So I pick it up, and he's like, Nick Zimmerman. I'm like, yeah, who's this? They're like, it's Jeff Agus. Jeff Agus. I'm like, the national Jeff Agus. I'm like, yeah, good one. Who is this? They're like, it's Jeff Agus with the New York Red Bulls. And I was like, oh, hi, how are you? He's like, congrats. We just selected you with the 32nd pick in the draft. And I was like, yes, I am thrilled. I'm loving it. This is, awesome. So, wasn't to say I was expecting it.
There was a draft today?
Yeah, I was like, what happened? That was today? But yeah, to say that I was expecting it was probably be an understatement. I'll be a lie if I was saying it. But I think what I learned from it, and this is what I tell a lot of players, that have aspirations to go pro. I got drafted in the third round, 32nd. Okay. I was on a Friday. They got flown out on Sunday. On Monday morning, I was training. I had not seen the first team. The first team wasn't there that whole first week. It was 80, 100 trialists, college players, JUCO players, players flown in, and they were selecting from that pool. So just because I got drafted, I didn't sign it. I wasn't a first-round draft pick. I didn't have a signing bonus. I had to compete. And after I got drafted, I'm playing. I beat the first round of cuts that week. And now the first team's there. Well, there's more kids, there's more players that you're competing against. I make that, they go, hey, we're going to take a trip to Bradenton. I'm like, oh, thank God I made the cut. We get to the airport, there's like 5 kids from South America. I'm like, who are they? Like, where are these people coming from, right? So I didn't sign a contract until a week before the season. And I say that right now, and I say this to players, and I say it respectfully. I think nowadays we have this, it has to be right now. The instant gratification. Like, well, I worked hard, so I deserve this. You don't, just because you work hard doesn't mean you deserve anything, right? That's like the bare minimum. Like, everyone's working hard, right? Like, what are you doing extra? And it's not easy, right? I mean, I every night I'm calling my parents, like, this is, Dad, they're bringing in someone new. Like, this is incredible. Like, hey, we just signed someone, which means someone else has to get cut from the current roster. Like, is it going to be me? Is it this, right? And then, I get there, I finally make the roster. I don't travel the first 2 weeks, and I'll never forget. I call my dad, and I'm upset. I'm 20 years old, right? And I said it. I was I was like a moody, and I can't believe it. Now, like you get kids now like that throw their toys, and I'm like, this is I feel like I should be playing, whatever. I'm not traveling. Call my dad, and I'm like, hey, this is BS. And he said, what, do you want to quit? I said, no, I don't want to quit. I'm just I'm talking to you. He goes, are you the first one in? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, are you the first one there? And I'm like, no. He's like, you the last one to leave? I was like, no. He goes, then start there, then call me back. And so I ended up beating Juan Pablo Angel, who at the time was their designated player, making millions. And he comes in, and I'm in there. And he goes, Zimmy, what are you doing here? And I said, I want to train with you. Like, I want you to mentor. Let's do this. And then I'd stay after with him when he was doing finishing, and I'd help with reps, whatever he needed. 2 weeks later, I get an opportunity, and that was kind of, the rest was history. So for everyone that thinks that they sign somewhere, they commit somewhere, or they get drafted, or like, that's the easy part. Like, the hard part is what goes on with it. And, I think that's the hardest lesson for this, this younger generation, or this upcoming generation is everything's social media, everything's instant gratification. Everything is, this is what I should be owed. This is what I'm worth. And if I don't get it, it's woe is me, instead of the adversity is going to help define you. That's going to help shape you into what you need. And, it's not, like you, I'm a big believer, right? God doesn't give you a cross he doesn't feel you can't carry. So these are all things that are put in your path to prepare you for what is hopefully going to come. And I'm a big believer in, doing the right things and working hard and see what happens.
Daniel, I was going to say, go ahead.
I was going to say, you want to hear something wild? Is Nick was drafted 32nd overall. Do you know he would have been a high second round pick in the current format of MLS?
Man,
I say that to ask you, Nick, like, could you imagine when you were drafted then how much growth over just a short period of time that MLS was going to have?
No, that's not. I always say when people say like soccer, I was like, I picked the right sport, I picked the wrong country. Now I picked the right sport, I just picked the wrong time, right? So it's, like, you look at it now and it's blown up, and it's awesome. And that's, for both sides, both male and female. And I don't think there's a better time to be involved in the game of soccer, on both sides of it, with Emma Hayes and now Pochettino. Like, I think it's awesome. I think we've got 2 really good leaders in really big positions for us that can help grow, because it's a lot of youth now on both sides of the game.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say, Daniel, because of him talking about what his dad said and doing that, we love when an athlete comes on here. A lot of times we'll ask them who their favorite athlete is. And we love when the answer is always Kobe Bryant, because it usually matches the athlete we have on the show. They're the one that's going to outwork everyone else. And that's what that story reminds me of, because he always made sure he was the first one in, last one out. And so you're talking to, speaking what we want to hear. That's the kind of mentality. Daniel's always talked about it when he was coaching. It was never who was most talented that impressed him. It was always going to be who worked the hardest. His best teams were the teams that had the best chemistry because they put in the work. It wasn't because who came out there and was the best. So just the fact that you have that mentality, and I know that's something that transitions into how you coach. But before I let Daniel get into, all things coaching, you did play for Carolina. You also, had the best 9 honors in 2012, finished second in the Golden Boot race. So, had a pretty successful career, ended up going to the Wilmington Hammerheads in the USL. So, as far as your career, you're playing at what point, or is it something that you knew before you got deep into it that you wanted to coach, or is it something that happened later on where you just decided you had such a passion for the game, you wanted to keep going?
Yeah, it's funny. I got asked this a week ago, and someone had wanted to do a story on me, and I had said to them, I was with Sporting Kansas City in 2013, the year they won MLS Cup. So I was with them, and they had just my discovery rights after a successful year in Carolina where I was unanimous best 11, and it was really a formality. They brought me in. They were in Orlando, Disney, doing preseason. And I get there on a Friday night. I would go to training. I was super fit. I had trained harder than I was ready. This was it. And he was like, listen, I can't believe we got you. This is a formality. We just want to see you, get with the team. We're going to sign. Everything's going to be great, right? I just got a call from my agent at the time. They wanted to bring me into the national team camp. That was a lot of the younger players in the cycle. Everything was going awesome. And after training, we were doing a shooting game with a couple guys. And I plant. I do a move I've done a million just to shoot. And I planted, and I felt something a little funny. But, we had a competition, and I was 4 for 5. And I was 5 for 5 on the right, and this was the last. They're like, if you make this, you win. And, we were playing for something. We were gambling a little bit. I like to, let's get interesting, And I did it again, and I was like, that doesn't feel right. So I go over to the trainer. Long story short, they said it was a little meniscus. Go clean it up. They keep me in a hotel for weeks doing rehab. They're like, listen, we want you. We just want to make sure this is good. And I'm like, guys, it's just not it doesn't feel right. They're like, well, we need you to train, because we've got to sign. My old North Carolina was like, we coming back? What's the deal? That day, Ike Opara comes. I take a touch. I plant, and I knew. And I go to the trainer. They think it was something. I'm there in Kansas City about to get operated on, and they put my folder on my chest. And, me, I'm nosy. I'm kind of all jacked up with medicine. I'm like, oh, let me see what we got. And I open it, and it said possible microfracture. And so I'm like, excuse me, is it possible? What is that? Is that better? They're like, no, that's worse. That could be potentially career ending. My dad came and flew up, and, next thing I know, my eyes are closed. I wake up. Now, my dad is I love my parents. That's both my best friends, but my dad is going to be the best man at my wedding. And I open my eyes, and I can see him. And I, obviously he trained me, and I knew. And I said, was it that was the first thing I said was microfracture? And he said, yeah. And I lost it, because at that point, they were talking about career ending, cartilage, etc. So I knew in that moment that I wasn't done with the game of soccer. And when I went to back to North Carolina, I had done coaching on the side just to make extra money. And I got into coaching where I just was doing it, to get paid, to make extra money. And I would pray that it would rain, because if it rained, I canceled it and be like, all right, I get paid. And a good friend of mine who was one of the directors of the club, he had twins, but he had oldest daughter, and then he had 4, and he had a oldest daughter, and then the next one down was a boy. And he said, I want you to coach Keenan's team. And I was like, perfect. I just wanted to coach boys. He's like, but you got to coach my oldest daughter. And I was like, I really don't want to. I don't want to coach girls. And he's like, you got to do it. 3 weeks in, I couldn't stand the boys. They drove me nuts. And all I wanted to do was coach the girls. And once we started to learn how to pass, and I would teach them, I didn't want to stop. If it was raining, I was like, we got to get into a turf field. We got to get inside, and I would kind of the boys team. I'm like, yeah, we're canceled for today. Girls, we're going to go to this turf field. etc. And that was my why, right? Like I was devastated after the injury. I was gutted, cried. I was angry. Like, why did this happen? I worked so hard. And, you know, it was in that moment that I felt like I was going to help change the game of soccer as a soccer player. But my impact now, I feel my why God was to say, we want you to now coach and help grow this game, and you know, be who you are. And that's kind of been my calling. So long-winded, sorry, but that was kind of how it all happened.
Hey, it's a good story.
Yeah. Take me back to the injury. I hate to rehash it, but
Oh, it's all good.
when you were telling them that something didn't feel right, do you think you had a micro fracture then?
I don't know. I mean, I don't, you know, like again, at that time, that was 2013. So it's 11, 12 years ago, right? Obviously technology now is significantly different. You know, I feel like you can get a bionic knee now and you could be up and running in 2 weeks, you know? So I just, it was, you know, it was my body. It was like, okay, it just doesn't feel right. But was it soreness? Was it in my head? You know, there could have been a lot of things. But you know, again, I you know, I'm a believer of whether it's good or bad, everything happens for a reason. And, you know, again, it was like I said, one of the toughest times in my life for sure. But it led me to so many incredible memories, you know, meeting so many different people. Now here I am on a show with two Jack guys, and you know, I'm just a young chap right here with, you know,
Daniel, I don't
tight
know
shirts.
who's looking at you. You ain't jacked, bro. I
Bless
don't know what you're talking about.
That's fine.
No, that's Mr. Run a Marathon over there. Look, I hit weights. That dude does the triathlons. Like, that's Mr. Fit over there.
Hey, check out the medals.
Good for you. Good for you.
So, I mean, to me, it sounds like you play with a lot of intensity, and I only ask this because the hype videos that Jim was showing me, where you're like hyping up your team, like you're passionate, you're animated, you can see it. Like there's a level of intensity that your players are either going to match or they're going to be left behind. And I have a feeling like as a player, you were probably the same way. So I ask you, were you a very intense player? Were you a cool, calm, collected reserve player? Like what was your level of play?
Yeah, I mean, I was an attacking player, so I always joke. I always wanted the ball, and then if I lost it, I'd yell at you to win it back and give it back to me. That was kind of who I was, right? So I didn't want to defend. So if I lost it, I'd be like, win it back, give it to me. But yeah, I mean, I tried to lead on the field, but I always adapted to what we needed. Like at times, there was going to be times where we needed to go, like there'd be fire. And then there'd be times where we'd be like, hey, we're good. We're fine. Hey, we're good. Hey, listen, wait till you see this comeback. It's going to be awesome. Because at that moment, they needed a different tone, right? And I think that with the girls is once you know the group and you figure out what do they need, I think a tone, I think figuring out what makes them go. You know, like I'll never forget – one of my coaches, my mentors, you know, at Columbus State, we're down in a game. I'm not going to say the team. We're down 3-1 at half, and we weren't good. And I thought he was going to hammer him. I thought he was going to tell me, hey, get after him. So I'm like, I'm ready. I'm fired. I'm ready to go. Tap me in. And he goes, I got this. And so he goes, hey, guys. He goes, you know what's going to be awesome is when we drive back 4 hours and we come back and we win this game 4-3. He goes, we're going to score in the first 10 minutes. He's like, they're going to get nervous. Then we're going to do this. He goes, they're going to write a story about this. And that's all he said. And all of a sudden, it changed the whole narrative of like, they were like, oh, okay, he's good. We're good. Came back and we won 4-3. We talk about it. And so in that moment, it's like, you don't always have to be yelling. It's what do they need? You know, what is it? Is it lack of effort? You know, my big thing is a lot of times I always say this, is it a lack of knowledge or a lack of effort? Right? Because it's one or the other, right? If I haven't taught you it or we haven't taught you it, then that's on me, right? If I haven't taught you this is how we're going to do it or something comes out totally different, then that's on us. That's on us as a staff. We didn't prepare you. However, if it's exactly what we showed you and it comes down to effort or intensity or we're not doing the little things or not playing for each other, then now that's where we got to hand up accountability. That's where we got to own it.
I love that story. You know, they're going to write a story about this, because people forget, like, there is a mindset and there's a psychology to coaching people.
Mhm.
And when you go into a game and the plan doesn't go as expected, people, like players especially, get in their heads like, oh shit, this isn't how it was supposed to go.
Mhm.
But what you guys did, you flipped it and go, no, this is exactly how it was supposed to go. We just haven't made it to the end yet.
Mhm.
Keep working, and this, you'll see what is about to happen. So it just really shifts their mind more to a positive, like, hey, we're doing what we need to do. We need to ratchet up a few things, clean up a few things, but really the reality is we're going to end the way that we expect to end this game. So
Yeah, and that's kind of like my that is what I love. Like I talked to him before the game, in the huddle before we finish, in pregame. Coach James will do the pregame presentation, and then we'll go eat, and then we'll come back later, and then I'll talk to them after we get done possession before we go to finishing, and that is the moment where I'll figure out where they're at. I'll figure out what we need to say, and now the cameras, they got the guy with the camera. I'm like, I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to use because there's going to be some verbiage. So you keep coming. You may get 2 words out of it, but
you
it's
gotta have like a code word that way.
earmuffs is what it is. So, but no, it's like, going to those frat guys, I think is something where the West End was never a thing 3 years ago. And we're like, this is an awesome space. Why don't we do something with this? Like, I've played overseas. I played in Europe, and you have people and you have fans and you have this. Like, I'll never forget 2 years ago, I had the I believe that we will win chant. And I typed it up, printed it out, laminated it, and I put it all on in the West End on things. And I went to the frats and I said, you're going to be my guy. You're going to be the guy that I'm going to do this with, and we're going to do it. And they went mental. And all of a sudden, the 70th minute, 1-1, here comes the chant. We score a goal. And it was like, people want to do it. You just got to guide them. You just got to help them. Like, give Coach, someone a responsibility.
You're like probably like 450th guest, and you might be the first person I could ask this to, and the answer is going to be yes. Have you seen the movie Green Street Hooligans?
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yes, and I'm told that that's really how it is over there. And that's
it's tough over there.
Daniel, they not only are the games just intense, but then afterward they'll brawl in the streets too.
They're looking to fight. They don't. I mean, especially if they lose, like, they're just like, who's wearing a jersey that's on the opposite team, and who wants to get a bottle smashed over their head. And
hey, when I was in the military, I might have got all about that. I don't know, not nowadays, but I watched that movie about the time I was in the military. So, Coach, I ain't gonna lie to you, I might have participated.
Hey, listen, no judging. I was the guy that was neutral. I was neutral. I don't want to fight. I'm not a fighter. So,
Coach, you mentioned Columbus State. So how do you end up coaching there? How did that come to be?
So, I was at Wilmington, and I came back from the injury, but I wasn't the same. Like, I'm out there and I'm playing on turf, and I woke up one morning, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what are we doing here? Like, I feel like I'm losing money on this deal. Like, this is like, what are we? And at the time,
you feel like you were a step behind people?
Yeah, I just felt like I couldn't, my knees were sore. Like, it was, playing on turf, and I just wasn't the same player. And again, it was like you defied odds to get back. But I was like, what am I doing? And I knew that I wanted to get into coaching. I felt I had brought a team, that Carolina team, and we ended up, it was like the Bad News Bears. I mean, we had kids picking dandelion, kids with different shoes, when we first got them. When we ended, we were competing to win at states, against one of the bigger clubs, but every year we were in the top 2. And it was like, came out of nowhere, and the kids and the parents, and it was awesome. So I knew I wanted to get into coaching. And I reached out to a buddy of mine who was at James Madison on the women's side when I was at James Madison. And I reached out and I said, hey, listen, I'm at a point in my career where I got to take the next step. I want to get into coaching. How do you, what's the next steps to get into college? Like, honestly, because it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you just got to get in the game. Like, once you're in it, in the circle, you'll be all right. Like, because the soccer world's a small world, but you just needed to figure out how to get in. And he said, all right, I need you to, send me your resume. I'm like, give me a couple days. I got to figure out how to do that, cause I didn't have a resume. I mean, I played pro soccer. I was like, I'm going to play pro until I'm done. And then whatever, I'll be fine. But, build a resume. And he said, hey, my best friend, his assistant just left, took a job in Division I. He's looking for an assistant. He'd love to call you tomorrow. Will you be around? I said, yeah, what time? I'll make it work. He said, he's at Columbus State. So I'm thinking now Ohio. So I'm like, he's in Ohio. So I'm looking up Columbus State, and I'm like, wait, it's not in Hawaii. This is in Georgia. So I text him. I go, hey, dumbass, it's in Georgia? He goes, yes, you're the dumbass that thought it was in Ohio. So, he calls me that next day. And again, it goes back to I've trusted my gut with everything in my life, and I probably made one bad decision in the soccer world, when I was playing. But and it was like the best conversation. It was unbelievable, right? I'm like, this guy's fantastic. Now, this was middle of July. His season now is starting beginning of August. He goes, hey, I get it. You want to finish out your career. October, you can come. No worries. I said, listen, if I'm in, I'm in. I'm all in. I want to learn right away. I said, now, give me some time. He said, take as much time as you need. Let me know. So I pray. I'm like, God, give me a sign. I was driving up with the Wilmington Hammerheads to play the Charleston Battery. I was supposed to start. The equipment guy comes up to me. I'm on the field, just kind of like got my headphones on going like, am I really going to give this up? He goes, hey, Nick, we forgot your jersey. I said, what? He said, yeah, we don't have your jersey. I said, that's problematic. That's a problem, right? He's like, yes. So I was like, okay, well, that just made my decision easier. That's the sign, God. And I woke up the next day. I called Jay. I said, listen, I'd love to do it. He said, come on a visit, on an interview, if you will. Came, walked around, and I was like, let's do it. And I left Wilmington. I put in my, I just said, hey, can I be released? And within a week, I was at Columbus State trying to find a place to live. I ended up staying in the training room for a week while I waited to move in, had to get my stuff moved. And it was God that, made that, like, it just all worked together. And, Jay Entlick is his name. I talk to him every day. He's going to be in my wedding. Incredible soccer coach, unbelievable mentor, but an even better person. And what I learned from him in those 4 years is, I can't be any more thankful.
Well, clearly, whatever secrets were given, it was very much so appreciative on the offensive end. I mean, you guys set a record for goals scored nationally. And I can appreciate that because it takes a lot of goals and a lot of action for me to like stay engaged. So like what is it like being an offensive minded coach as opposed to being a defensive minded coach? Because to me, it seems like you probably had some defense, but if you're setting records for scoring goals, that means you guys are probably attacking, like you said, that you enjoy doing.
I mean, I just live with the mantra, I'd rather die standing. I would die standing. Like I could never in my entire life, whether I'm here, whether I'm a head coach, hopefully one day, I could never tell my team to sit in and defend and look at them. If it's 1-0, we lose and we got peppered, but I'm like, hey, we did it. You guys did great. 1-0. I'd rather lose 15-0 and die standing and learn from it. So, it's the same approach here. I mean, obviously it's a little bit harder, in the SEC in particular, score goals. And, but it's a whole collective, right? It's how we defend. It's how we attack. Like our backs are attack. It's a whole thing, right? It's a whole system of it's not like football where you have an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. It all flows together. You can't call timeouts. You can't run plays. It's all, how do we understand to move as a unit, as a group, and at that time, we had some good players, and, it's no different than here. I mean, obviously State, we've over the years, we've gotten better and better, but I look at our group this year and the goals that we're scoring are true team goals. Like they're really good goals. They're not like, oh, ball goes over someone's head or like a fluke or kick it in behind and the kid trips. Like I'm a big believer that these goals that we're scoring are sustainable. They're team goals. They're highlight reel goals. And, like I love Man City. Like those types of goals when done right And, that's what makes me proud is I look back at it and go, this is a team that I can, one, be proud of, but two, that's how I see the game. That's my philosophy in my head.
Right. Well, ultimately the time at Columbus State pays off because you end up at Mississippi State. So tell me how that opportunity came about and why you chose to go that route.
Yeah. So being in Columbus, Georgia, it was about 45 minutes from Auburn. So Auburn had asked to work, hey, will you work camps? They need people to work camps in the summer. I absolutely, I was young. I wanted to be hungry. I wanted every opportunity. I wanted to meet people. I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow. Work camps. James Armstrong at the time was the associate head coach. He watched me run training sessions. He was like, man, I really like that activity. I really liked your energy. Like the kids really liked it. I thought it got going. We stayed in contact. Then ODP is still a thing. He was on staff. I was asked to be on staff, and I started working. He was an assistant. He wasn't very good technologically with like Google Sheets and stuff. And so I would help him, do stuff with it. And next thing you know, he gets moved up to be a head coach. He says, hey, do you want to be my assistant? Said, absolutely. We saw the same kind of players, like this is what I like in a player. This is how I see the game. And we always said, hey, if one of us gets an opportunity, let's do it. And he gets the call from Mississippi State, calls me and says, is this something you'd be interested in? And I had actually had a conversation with the previous coach. He had reached out to me about, Mississippi State. And I fell in love with everything he said about the Mississippi State in itself, like the community, the administration, the people. It's a college town. Loved it. So I was pretty familiar with it already. And then James had called and I said, yeah, let's do it. He's like, do you need to come on a visit? I'm like, I'm not coming there for social. I'm coming there to win. Like, I don't need to see it. So, and then that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, no, we had Coach Armstrong on here, absolutely phenomenal. And your whole coaching staff, right? I originally messaged out to you, well before you were asked to come on the show and just told you my daughter did 5 different ID camps. She said you were leaps and bounds her favorite coach that she worked with individually, but the Mississippi State staff was her favorite altogether. She didn't even want to play at Mississippi State. She just wanted to go there to get better. And it was ideal, Coach, because it's all about getting the best experience. And when you say that the coaching staff was the best that you worked with, and you're talking about you went to LSU, Memphis, Tampa, et cetera, so it spoke volumes to me about you because I value my daughter's opinion and that meant a lot. And then Macy Hodge, who we had on the show, doubled down, just talking about you and Coach Armstrong and the crew. And it's like, man, I can get on board with this, especially because we knew the kind of player that Macy was. But, Daniel, you won't be surprised. His first season in Starkville, setting new program records, goals, assists, points, like Coach, like the offensive system, like it didn't matter if it was Columbus State or Mississippi State. So clearly, you were able, working with the staff, to get your offense implemented the way you wanted.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a testament, Coach James has a lot of faith in me, to kind of come up with ideas for training sessions, whether it be the whole group, whether it be certain, functional groups, if you will. And, I'm blessed to have the opportunity, the process of getting the right players that believe and buy in, that have the attributes or the intangibles that you're looking for. So I'm the lucky one. I go to work every day. I work with a great staff, but I work with an even better group of young ladies that are hungry, that are dogs, and they fight.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about one specifically. I just brought her up. Macy Hodge. So for me, I actually did play soccer. I was kind of the opposite route of you. You didn't play till later. I played from 4 all the way till 9th grade. And then I decided, because Daniel and all my other friends played football, I was going to quit soccer and focus on football that I had never played in my life and be good at it, instead of the sport that I was actually great at, that my dad was like, you could probably go to college. And I'm like, I don't care. My friends play football. So anyway, terrible decision by me, Coach. But nonetheless, I played center mid my whole life. Loved being in the midfield. I had stamina, loved going up and down the field. And I watched the way she plays the game. And it's the kind of thing that gets Daniel, because Daniel says, if I'm going to watch, I need physicality.
Yeah, she's your girl.
She's not scared of anything.
Yeah,
so
no, I'm afraid of her.
How great it is having her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm afraid of her. So, I mean, she's just an again. I mean, there's been stories that have been written about her, rightfully so, that just kind of tell her whole story and the things that she's gone through, in her career and in particular in college. And she's one of the best things that came about from this program. We took a chance on her, she took a chance on us, and it's one of the best decisions we made as a staff. To bring her here, because the impact that she's had both on and off the field with the community, with the people, with the players, with the program. Can't say enough things about her.
Yeah. And I kind of went there because, what happens is, and that's why I appreciate the midfield specifically. So like Maddie Anderson said it best the other day on Twitter when she had gotten, defensive player of the week. She's like, I didn't really have to do anything because my team took care of it and I only had to make one save. And that was the reality. And then the goal scorers are always going to get the attention because they scored the goals, right? And I know that where it's controlled is in the middle of the field. And so I just really appreciate that part of the game. But Mississippi State really is a complete team. We can talk about the goals, but I mean, that Arkansas game specifically, right, just did not let them have possession at all and be able to be on the attack. And you could tell they just did not know what to do. So here we are, y'all won 9 in a row, 6-0 in conference play, just won 5-0. You don't see 5-0 games much, Coach, especially in SEC conference play. So, I mean, let's just be straightforward. How much fun are you having?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, at this point now, I joke. It's like, despite bad coaching, the kids are prevailing. So I think at this point now, it's just get out of the way and let them keep going. I mean, it's a group that we've had now for a while. We took this group to England in spring break, and I did that. I had that opportunity in 2018 with Columbus State, and that following year we went 23-0 and won. We lost in the Elite Eight, but it was the right time for this group to take that trip. But they know each other now. They know the movements. They know what the strengths are. And each game that they play, knock on wood, they continue to get better and better. And I think we saw something in LSU. It was like, I said to him afterwards, I was like, from Neo, from Matrix, it's like, what do they do? They're beginning to believe. Like, they're truly now beginning to believe. And, I said it after Georgia. It's like recoverability, like going down early. Like, you can't teach someone to come back. It's either a mindset. It's either a true belief that we can come back, we got plenty of time, or it's a mindset, head down, woe is me, we're going to lose. And, I said that's the one of the things that you're most proud of as a coach is when after we scored, we gave up a goal a minute and a half in, you look around, they're all high-fiving, we're good, we got time, we're fine. And then all of a sudden they come back and score in the last 5 minutes to win the game on the road against a good Georgia team. And you see them celebrate. I'm like, listen, we're never out of any game. Right. And you can't teach that. You have to win those games to really believe. I can sit there and say to you guys, hey, today's the day. We're going to win. And you get pummeled 8-0. And then next week, I'm like, hey, guys, this is the game. We're going to be fine. And you lose 8-0. You're like, at some point, they shut you out. Right. So it's knowing that, like, we can do this, and the belief that they have. And I truly believe that this team feels that this is something different. This is something special.
Yeah, and on that same note, though, I mean, you have to, as a coach, keep them focused that as great as the most SEC wins in team history, the longest winning streak, the amount of goals, all that, that's not the prize. You made it to the tournament 2 years ago, then you made it to the Sweet 16. We have national championship aspirations. So as good as we're doing now, like, we still have room for improvement. And we still got a lot, to look forward to, starting with this week. Friday, I'll be there, but there's nobody who would love to spoil this streak more than obviously Miss. So, how do you keep them laser focused to not get, like you said, they believe, but you don't want them to get too excited and think that, they've accomplished anything yet, because as well as I do, it's all about what you do in the postseason.
Yeah. I mean, we say it all the time. Like, I think it's all about getting better every day. I think, last night we took another step in the right direction. We got better. But we've been saying it all year. We're not done yet, or we're not there yet, right? We haven't arrived. You haven't done anything. You beat Arkansas. Great. It's one. They just happened to be the next team that we played, and they happened to be number one, and it happened to be a really big game. Great. That one's done. Celebrated tonight. We turn the page tomorrow, and I think that's it. Like, we're not ready to win a national championship yet. We're not there yet. We're not there right today. We're going to keep trying to get there, right? And I think we're not ready to win a national SEC championship today. Can we get there in 2 weeks? Like, can we keep getting better? And then if, knock on wood, if all things line up, great. Guess what? It's not an SEC title. Yeah, we won that. That's great. But the end goal is a national championship. That is what we said when we got here. We're not going to sit to say to the kids, hey, we're going to win a national championship this year. The kids would be like, Coach, we just want to win an SEC game. Right? Like, but this is a group now that has been a part of a ton of firsts, right? Mm-hmm. History has been made every single year. Sam Purcell uses it, our women's basketball coach. Why not us? It's kind of like a mixture of, like, why not us? We've got something special, but we've got to stay present and we got to stay humble. And, it was a great lesson against Georgia. I didn't think we had a great week of training. Mm-hmm. And that was obvious, right? Like, hangover, trap game, whatever it may be. But when they scored a minute and a half in, I told the kids I wasn't surprised. Warm-up wasn't great. Training wasn't great, and we're kind of like, it's an older group. Maybe they can flip a switch, but they can't. And it was a humbling experience for them. However, used, in the right way, can be an incredible opportunity to learn and grow. And I think that's what's neat about this group is the growth mindset, instilled with some belief. It's a fun group to be around.
Yeah. And I mean, before the season, the reason why I predicted y'all to win national championship, me and Daniel have done so many different sports on here, and there's always been common themes. And it's one of the ones you said in the fact of getting better each season. But the other is the main factor that you said about having those veteran players, that leadership, us having both your captains on, we know who they are. I talk about how we feel about your coach and stuff. And when you just see the progress each season and the talent is there, but then the veteran leadership, it's like you said, you're never out of any game. I feel like the belief is there and all that. And it's just hard for me not to see this team making a run. And I'm not surprised by the success at all. So, it's going to be exciting going forward. Like I said, finally get to see y'all in action for the first time Friday night. I was supposed to actually make it to Texas. I wish I'd have made it to that one, but I think y'all are okay without me. You're getting it done.
Listen, we'll take all the help we can get.
Hey, but the attendance record, I love to see it. With you talk about Mississippi State and it being the school it is, like Dudy Noble is the best baseball field, you'll find. And I said to multiple people, I was like, when Mississippi State wins this soccer championship, wait till they rebuild this soccer stadium. I was like, because Mississippi State doesn't do anything little, like they do everything big. And so I make that joke. And so, that'd be cool if it all came to fruition. But I'll see you guys Friday night. And I wish them the best of luck, but it's been fun, just watching this group. I've gotten to see plenty on TV and just, all phases of the game. They're just so well coached. You are doing such a great job.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, listen, I mean, it's it's fun. It's been awesome. And, we joked about it yesterday. We had recruits in town. We got rid of, we took them to the airport today, and then it was, all right, let's turn the page. Let's start getting ready for Ole Miss. We'll train tomorrow, we'll train Wednesday, train Thursday, head up Friday. And, everyone says it, this is the one that you could go 1-17, but if you beat Ole Miss, it was a good season. So,
you're doing big things for your school. Cause we've talked to some of the baseball players recently on here and, they talk about, football being such a bummer right now. So baseball's not in right now. Soccer, however, is. So y'all got to give, the students something to be excited about because this football ain't it, Coach.
Yeah, the support we've had has been awesome, and we're appreciative. And we're like I said, last night we didn't know what the crowd was going to be. Fall break, it's a Sunday, 6:30. Coming off the Arkansas game, we were like, all right, maybe, what's it going to be like that? And then it goes back a little bit, and to see the crowd. I mean, when we walked out for warm up, I'm like, what's the promotion tonight? Like, what are we giving away? that all these people are here, and it was just people want to be a part of it. And
You shouldn't have brought that up, Coach, because I tagged you on Twitter a week ago and told you I was going to.
I know. Listen. I don't even get them. I mean, I don't have a pennant. I don't have a
You said
scarf.
it's not what you know; it's who you know. And I thought knowing the coach, I might get one.
Yeah, listen. I am going to work on it. I told you, I'm a man of my
No,
word.
it wasn't for me. It was for that kid that Daniel's referring to. Which, by the way, funny note, Daniel, that you didn't tell him. He may be wearing purple and gold all the time. Look, he'll wear whatever colors of the event we're going to. He still wears his official Mississippi State shoes every day of the week. He has the official maroon and white striped Adidas that y'all sell on campus. Anyway, he has those. So it's actually funny. He's the most uncolor coordinated kid you'll ever find.
We will get you one. That I promise. I promise you we will get it.
You heard it there, Daniel.
I'm a man of my word.
If Jackson doesn't show up to baseball with a scarf on this year, you know Nick lied to me.
I'll make it happen.
Only kid in Omaha in 99-degree weather wearing a scarf.
He would too. You know he would.
Definitely.
I love it.
All right, Nick, man. Let's get to our game so we can get you out of here, man.
All right, hit me with it.
The game is very simple. It's called This or That. I'm going to give you two options. All you got to do is choose one option or the other.
Okay.
Can't say both. Can't say neither. Just go with your heart. Go with your gut. Go with your head. Just pick one.
All right.
Jim, This or That. Who's it brought to you by?
The Bellsmith. I got my Maddie Anderson and Macy Hodge Bell right here. You obviously can get him on, get his bells on any social media platform, but go over to Maroon and Company if you're in Starkville. Not just their bells. There's other player bells. There's scripture bells, as you saw at the beginning. Hey, they're the best in the business, Daniel.
That's right. There's only one school where bells mean anything, and it is Mississippi State, and there's only one guy to get it from, and that's the Bellsmith. All right, Nick, here we go. Out the gate, coming in hot. Are you a coffee guy or an energy drink guy? Because you're intense. I see it.
Yeah. Energy drink.
Energy drink. What's your energy drink of choice? Are you going back to your days with the Red Bulls?
No. Rain. The Rain is what I've been on right now.
Rain is a famous one for college.
That's like four in a row from.
I'm just like I had it one time and we won, and now I'm superstitious.
There you go. You got
Daniel. I got a stat for you on the coffee thing, and this is not going to be surprising to either of you gentlemen, but they did a survey. Top 5 most wasteful things you can spend money on, and it was coffee not made at home. It doesn't matter where you get it from. The amount of money you spend buying it somewhere versus just making it at home.
I don't even drink coffee, and I only drink energy drinks before games. So I don't drink. I drink Propel and water.
Clearly, Daniel, he hits one before the game. Did you hit one before the speech to the frat boys?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I take one for the frat.
I mean that. Hey, Daniel, there's a GIF of that speech he's given. That I didn't even hear him speak the first time I saw it, and it was awesome. It was just him fiery, and then I was like, I don't know what's going on right there, but sign me up.
All right, jerseys. Would you rather go with the black jerseys or the white jerseys?
For us, black.
Yeah. Black, of course.
I think it's the best uniform in college soccer. I stand by it.
Yeah.
Better mascot. And the reason I ask this is because obviously we do a lot of college baseball, and we follow these guys when they go pro, and a lot of them are in the minor league, system. And the minor league baseball mascots have to be like the greatest mascots ever. But I'll give you a few, and you tell me which you think are the best.
Okay.
First two, Rumble Pony or a Mud Hen?
I mean, let's go with a Rumble Pony.
Hey, Daniel, I didn't put on there. Go ahead and throw them rubber ducks in there too.
What about a Montgomery biscuit or a rubber duck?
I like that. Let's go rubber duck.
Yeah, rubber ducks. All right. What about let's say rubber ducks or rumble ponies? Of the two, which is your?
I mean, I gotta tell you, I feel like I'm a Rumble Pony guy. Let's rumble.
You got to see this hat. It's got the stallion with the boxing gloves.
Oh, then that's my guy. That's me.
But we'll see, because you're fixing to go up against, Daniel, you might as well throw in the yard. I didn't want to say it.
So the next two are probably hands down the two popular picks. Would you rather be a yard goat or a trash panda?
Wow.
I know
I got all these hats too, Coach. As he's saying them,
Yeah, I gotta
they're
see some of that. Yard goat or trash panda? Let's go. Let's go trash panda. Let's get weird.
All right. Last one. We'll put the two big ones together: Rumble Pony or Trash Panda.
I gotta go Rumble Pony.
Yeah, I don't know if Jim has one of those yet because we try to get them from guys that we've had on the show.
So here's your yard goat, Coach.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
This one's actually the alternate of the trash pandas. That's the lunatic.
Okay, I like that.
There's your trash panda.
All right. I'm glad I went Rumble Panda. I'm a Rumble Pony.
There's your Omaha Storm Chasers, which he didn't give you. Oh,
okay.
And then this is underrated, man. The Montgomery Biscuit. Their hashtag is butter up, Coach.
I get that. It wasn't a light decision. I will say that.
I don't have a rubber duck yet. We do have a guest who played for them, so I got to get on that. And then, as he said, I didn't think we had a guest who played for the Rumble Ponies, and then I found out we did. Got to get a hold of them because
you got to show me that one. I got to look that one up.
The hat unless it comes from a guest.
I got to look that up.
All right, we've seen the intensity. We've talked about it. You get your reign, you get fired up. But let's say you had your reign, and I said, Nick, you have to wrestle a bear or a tiger. Which one are you picking?
Which one could kill me faster?
It's not. He just became the wisest person. No surprise. Before you answer, Coach. You said which they're trying to figure out if they can outrun them. Can I climb a tree? And
listen, at some point you just got, as a coach, you gotta just bite the bullet. I will go tiger. Let's go tiger. Let's get in the jungle.
The one thing that bothers me about a tiger is they're predatorial, and I feel like at night you'd be in big trouble.
Yeah, I just wanted to take me out as fast as possible.
Absolutely.
I just take me down.
All right, luxury swimming pool or the beach?
Swimming pool.
All right, giving you an oldie but a goodie. This is a tough one. All right.
Yeah, hey, you knew I had to bring it out for somebody who might be wise.
Yeah. So, would you rather spend 10 years in a coma or 5 years in prison?
What's the prison?
It doesn't matter. It's prison.
Well, I know, but I mean, if you're like in the mafia, and you got like sauce.
Federal maximum penitentiary.
I don't think I could do good in prison. I think I just did the coma. It's just a nice long nap.
I haven't said this in a while, but this is my go-to response. 40 years that I've been on this earth, Coach, I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, and I can tell you right now that prison ain't for me.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do well in prison in any kind.
Give me 10 years.
You can't take a nap.
I'll take the nap for 10 years, and I'll wake up and I'll figure it out. But I ain't going.
But you'd be amazed, Coach. We retired that question, but a lot of these guys, particularly baseball players, guys who wouldn't be the most.
They're full of it. If they say that, they're trying to say that to be mod. They're not.
They're hard. They're like.
Hey, right now, if I walked into your house right now and said, "Hey, you're going to a coma or jail," you'd be like, "Put me in a coma."
But the best part was, Coach, then we had the MMA fighter from Bellator come on, Jaleel Willis, and this man looks at us and goes, "I've been to jail. I ain't going back. Give me the coma." And I said, "Now that's a real answer."
Yeah, I would have put the house that he would have said, "I'll fight people. I don't care. No one's gonna mess with me." Yeah,
I've done it. I'll do the other one just
for
a challenge. All right, last question, Coach. This is the money question. If I came to you and I said, Nick, here you go, man. Here is a briefcase full of crispy mint Ben Franklin's with the total of $1 million, and it's yours. You can have this, or I can give you a national championship with your team this year.
National championship.
I kind of put you on the spot because I think you have.
I don't do this for the money. Like if I wanted to make money, I'd be in sales. I'd go to pharmaceuticals. I'd play tons of golf. I'd have 5 different houses, and I do this. The national championship, you live like it's history. It's a legacy. You know,
And
look at all the
if they get
people
it done
right now
there,
that are
it's a
revered.
first that will always be remembered, undoubtedly.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
mean,
It's like when we talked to last year, we had a lot of guests from Tennessee baseball on, and we would ask this question in multiple different former fashions, and they would all say national championship, really because of the same things that you're saying, because this would have been their first in the school's history. This would have been something that cemented their legacy. This is something that basically I told him, I was like, you could walk into Tennessee and get in to the stadium and be a hero every time you go there if you win a national
And ain't
championship.
paying for a meal ever again. That's what you told a couple of them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the reality. And I think for you, like when you say this, like the legacy thing is something I think that can't be overlooked, because you're setting the tone for, and not necessarily the tone, but you're setting the groundwork for the foundation of the program for years to come, because you've created a culture, a winning culture. You're creating the expectation now that you want to win a national championship. And if you come here, that's what we're playing for. It ain't to win a couple SEC games. It ain't to go to the tournament and do well. It's to go far and go deep and win a national championship. And kudos to you guys for doing that and getting things going. You're third in the country right now. You undefeated, and you got a big game coming up. So Nick,
And I'll tell you this, Daniel, real quick note before you cut them loose. It was kind of funny, and I know Nick's got to laugh about this. This is actually why I used the theme song coming in. I was down, but now I'm up. They lost to Wake Forest and got dropped out of the rankings because they lost. You did see those rankings and where Wake Forest is number 2. Like they lost, and they acted like they lost to somebody that wasn't good and just threw Mississippi State out in the trash. And then here we are. Look at number 3 and number 2. I would do anything, Coach, and I'm sure you feel the same. If we can get that rematch in the postseason, that'd be epic.
we keep receipts. I will say that.
There we go.
There you go. All right, Nick, anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here?
No, I just thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. Love what you guys are doing. You guys are doing great things, help promoting just the youth and good people. So we appreciate everything that you guys do. Your support means the world to us. And anything that we can do to help you guys moving forward, we appreciate it. But thank you guys for having me. Jim, I'll see you this weekend or this week, and DB. Old Dominic, I like that. I'm a big bourbon guy, so maybe we could do a trade or something if we get some good bourbon.
Off air.
I got you. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I will say this for all you jabronis out there. I know that we are big in DeSoto County and Hernando and Lewisburg and Memphis and the Mid-South. Oxford is right down the road. Friday night, 7 p.m. You need to drive there and watch Mississippi State just put it on Ole Miss. And I'm not talking about like 1-0. I'm talking like 3, 4, maybe even 5-0.
And Daniel Nick's like, calm down, man. Don't put us under that pressure.
Listen, if you could speak it into existence, I would love that.
They're prepared. They're ready. I just talked to the man who's helping get these girls prepared. I know they're ready. But if you can't go, at least go to SEC Plus Network. Check them out. You won't be disappointed. Number 3 team in the nation. Give them some love. Give them some support. Grow the game. Coach, appreciate you, man. Anything you need along the way, please reach out to us.
Appreciate you guys. Have a blessed night.
You too. That is Nick Zimmerman, everybody. If you like hearing Nick's story, or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook. Retweet us on X. Listen and subscribe wherever you stream your podcast. As always, comments, ratings, feedback, thumbs up, hearts, hugs, love. We will take it all. Jim, what we got next? What's coming up? Big weekend for you.
Tomorrow night, I got a makeup date with Ike Irish from Auburn, but Wednesday, we get into our thing, man. Gabby Glado from Alabama Gymnastics. It's been a while since we've done Alabama, so get to talk gymnastics. Hey, you talk about it with baseball. Gymnastics comes first. It's just right around the corner.
It's right here. It's ready. Obviously, we've got big plans for the weekend. You've got a big event coming up. What's going on?
Yeah, so Saturday, you was just talking about DeSoto County opportunity. We got asked to be out there, have a booth. And the best part's not just promoting the podcast. It's our sponsors, right? We're going to have everything available. You just talked about Old Dominic. We're going to have the bells out there from the Bellsmith. We're going to have the merch from Memphis City Design. So a chance to promote them all. There will be giveaways, of course. Most importantly, we are in October. It's going to be candy for kids. There's going to be games. We're going to my wife, you know how she is. She's crafty. She's got me set up, Daniel. She made it to where we can't mess this up. We're going to have giant tic-tac-toe, giant Jenga. So come over there, bring the kids, play some games, enter to win some merch, check out the podcast, subscribe, all those things. It'd be a good time. And obviously, we're not the only ones out there. So DeSoto County, come check it out. It's over at the Silo Square area.
Check it out. Go. It's going to be a great weekend for it. Do it for your kids, if anything. This is what I think everybody should do. You should go out there, get your face painted, visit Jim, win a prize. Maybe it's some seeds. Maybe it's a bourbon from Old Dominic. Maybe it's just a handshake. But either way, you're going to have a great time. Appreciate you guys. Jim, anything else before we bounce?
Oh, man.
Hey, as always, this has been the In Off the Bench podcast. Strong body, sharp minds, great and grind all the time. We're out.